Okay, so Conquest just pulled up, and y'all remember how confident Mark was sounding at the end of episode 7, talking about some...
The only thing I want to do right now is hit something as hard as I can.
Damn, he don't got a clue in the fucking world.
Yeah, I'm sure we all knew Mark was getting the belt, but I'm sure nobody could predict how bad this ass whooping was gonna be. But they collide, causing even more damage, sweeping the civilians away, and now they're struggling in the air, and this man Conquest headbutts Mark in the face, then forces him to the ground, making a crater. Then he looks at this man Mark and pretty much says, yeah, fuck trying to get you to fall in line, and ends it by saying,
I want you to resist.
nah, bro. The way he said that shit felt just like,
I like my fish wet and squirming.
nah, bro's in danger and has no idea how much. But then Mark lands a sneaky punch and Conquest just looks at him like that! Then gets tackled through like 10 buildings, causing them to collapse, killing dozens or maybe hundreds of people, I'm sure. But then he digs himself out of the rubble and plucks Invincible from under it as well. And didn't Mark tackle him through the buildings? What's up with Mark tackling niggas then ending up being the one getting hurt? This man needs to retire that move. But then he grabs Mark by the throat and begins to choke him. Then Mark double punches his arm and claps his head, followed by a knee in the gut, which launches Conquest. But then he just stops himself in midair and looks at Mark and says,
Very good! Nigga, I'm leaving.
nah, if you're being coached and motivated by the nigga you're fighting, I think it's time for you to leave. Bro is not taking this shit serious. And Mark over here talking about some,
That was just a warm-up.
and judging from how this fight started to go later on, this indeed was way more than the warm-up. But then Mark hits him with a left hook and is quick with the chase down, follows up with a right, catches up to him again, hits him with a knee in the gut, and now they're flying through the clouds. And Mark drops back to gather more speed for another right hand, sending him into space. But then this motherfucker just smiles. And if that wasn't weird enough, he blows a blood bubble, shapes it into a heart, then flicks it at Mark.
Come on now, bitch, ain't nobody trying to see that shit!
Yeah, bro, that's a flagrant 2. What the fuck are you doing right now? He even had Mark looking at him like,
What the hell is even that?
but then Conquest tackles Mark all the way back down to earth, and after a bit of fighting in the air, Mark looks at this man and asks if he's sure this is gonna go his way. And he just looks at Mark like,
Nigga, I jump down your throat and bust out your asshole screaming, nigga.
and hits him with a mean right hand, knocking him through a building. And YN Oliver is just ready to slide after seeing this. And this time, his mom doesn't even try to stop him. She actually motivates him to go. And to be honest, I know she can't see the future, but this would have been the time to stop bro from going, because he literally almost didn't make it back in one piece. But then we cut back to Mark, and bro is just napping on the ground, then gets up and starts coughing up blood. Then here comes Conquest again and pounds him straight into the ground. And now we get this scene where Mark is getting a traveling ass whooping. Bro is getting his ass whooped on the go. He's literally getting knocked around so fast, Oliver can't even keep up. He's just watching his bro get pinballed around the city. And now once again, this man Conquest is coming for him, and Mark tries to pull a,
Let me tell you something.
but Conquest hits him with that
Shut your lame ass up.
and slams him into the ground and is just like,
I think we ain't done yet.
Then this man starts trying to give Mark another pep talk mid-ass whooping, and seeing Mark pinned to the ground, here comes Oliver with a mean right hand, then rushes in yelling,
Big ass beat down coming up!
but then yeah, shoulda kept Buddy at home because it gets worse from here.
I'm not finished.
Omni-Man should have been in his life because this nigga just got fathered. But then he just grabs Oliver by his legs and looks at him like,
Who is this nigga?
I prefer to know who I'm dismembering.
but then Mark sneaks him with a heavy kick, making Conquest take this dramatic ass fall, just to stand up and hit the pose of Goku when he first went Super Saiyan. And now once again, Mark is telling Oliver to get out of here, and I'm 1000% siding with Mark, because what happens to Oliver next is egregious. But as Conquest charges, Mark throws Oliver out of the way and gets hit with a spear from hell. And now he's just holding Mark by his face, flying him through building after building, before grinding his head into the ground and throwing him into a car, and attempts to follow it up with another punch, but Mark dodges. Then he comes back with a headbutt, and this man Conquest says,
Almost there.
What do you mean by that?
Shit had him proposing, and now Mark is just teeing off on Conquest, and it's starting to look like the end.
sake!
But then Conquest grabs his hand and stands up and says,
If that's all you got, this is just not gonna end well for you.
but then Eve wakes up in the hospital and sees Mark getting the beats by Dre and says, fuck healing, I'm sliding. And speaking of Mark getting the beats, bro just caught Mark's punch to swing him around and slam him through multiple buildings, killing civilians. Then uses him as a skateboard, then gets on his
Another fatherless child.
before Oliver comes to save the day yet again. Big mistake, young nigga, because now this man is talking about how he's gonna split Oliver in half and eat his heart.
Step back, I think I'm gonna vomit!
Then backhands Mark into a building and just looks at Oliver like,
I got you for 3 minutes! 3 minutes of heat time!
and gives Oliver a hot mink, and this man loses all of his teeth from it, then gets grabbed by his head and legs as Conquest attempts to rip him in half. And Mark finally wakes up and tackles Conquest before he can get the job done, just for Conquest to stop them both in mid-air, then claps Mark with a right hand, but Mark eats that shit like, and retaliates with a left of his own, and my guy Oliver is just laid out on 1 HP. But then Cecil comes through with the save.
That's what I'm talking about. This shit means something to me, man.
And just looks over at Mark getting his shit pushed in. Just look at this. This man Mark is getting skipped across water like some rocks. Then this man Conquest is trying to drown him. Then takes Omni-Man's whole flow, using Mark's body to kill countless people in the city before making him eat rocks. And as he takes him in the air, this man Mark says, "Enough!" Bro waited until right after his body was used as a weapon of mass destruction to finally have enough. I know anyone who survived that is just looking at Mark like,
How you coming first? Why you fucking coming first?
but then Mark hits him again and we see a pink wall stop him. And seeing this, Mark is just like,
Oh my god.
and we see Eve has officially pulled up and says,
Get away from him, you animal!
and hearing this, Conquest is just like,
That's a great idea.
and decides to press her instead, but then gets tackled by Mark, which leads him to headbutt Mark and then break his leg. And now he's pressing Eve, and she decides to make herself some armor, which we all know won't help much. But then she pauses Conquest in midair, then steals the Warhammer Titan's whole flow, sending him flying, then tries to do it again, which he blocks and catches the follow-up. But then she brings out her old unreliable strategy of wall spamming, and we all remember the last time she tried this. It resulted in her leg being broken and her almost being a pack. She is literally just getting out of the ICU for using this very strat. And as expected, Conquest is just punching through those walls with ease. But then she bubbles his head and just starts spamming structures at him, and bro just enters a flow state and starts dodging everything. Then punches her spike ball, but little did he know it was full of water. Then she throws another spear at him, which he blocks with his hand. Then he immediately punches through her armor on one leg, then does the same for the other leg, then headbutts her, breaking her helmet and rips her arm plates off. And now she is completely fucked. Y'all already know what happens next.
This the part that I like the most.
He catches her with a right hand, busting her face, then puts his other hand through her abdomen and lets her fall. And now Mark can finally fly.
Is this nigga serious?
This nigga keeps waiting until after shit happens to act, but now she's looking like a pack, and Mark finally decides to tee up and rushes Conquest, where their fists collide, breaking his metal hand in Mark's fist. Then Mark follows up with a left, followed by a kick, and caught in a bear hug. But then he bites the fuck out of Conquest and they begin to collide over and over again. But then Eve gets her reboot card, and Mark gets distracted seeing this and gets hit with a backbreaker and chokeslam to the ground and is now being choked. But then Eve gets back up and hits Conquest with a unibeam, but
Job's not finished.
Mark is right on him and just starts hammering bro. But then he catches Mark's hand and breaks it. But then Mark just starts headbutting him over and over until he finishes the job. Left bro's face completely crushed. And that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed. This was legit my favorite episode of this entire season. Conquest was a complete menace. This episode had it all. Definitely excited for next season. But yeah, this has been MarblePluto. Until next time.
I just found the keys to a city.